Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to talk about some value plays as well as game stacks I'm liking for the Week 5 main slate here on Draftkings. Before I get into the video, a couple things. One, really do appreciate all the support I'm getting on this channel. We're close to 700 subscribers, so thank you guys all so much. If you're new to the channel, I hope you enjoy the content. We get new videos up every single day talking NFL DFS as well as NBA DFS. The preseason starting up Friday. I already have a video up talking about that, the showdown slate as well as the 2-game slate on Saturday, so you guys go check that out. And then two, I'm doing a weekly giveaway on this channel every single week. This is not sponsored by anyone, just me giving back to you guys, where the winner gets a $20 PayPal. All you have to do is leave a like and a comment in the video. That's one entry in the giveaway, and be subscribed. And then however many videos up for the week, you can enter it that many times. So say I have 10 videos up for the week, you could enter it 10 times. Again, max one comment, though, per video. And again, I will announce the winner in my Monday Night Football showdown slate this upcoming Monday. And with that out of the way, let's jump into this video. So first, let's talk about some value plays. Not a whole lot. So value plays I usually categorize as 5K and below. So start with quarterback. There's really not a whole lot to like 5K and below. One guy I would consider is Chase Daniel at 4.8K. You're not going to feel great about it. Mitch Trubisky, I think he's going to be out for sure. So it's going to be Chase Daniel picking up the start. Didn't look bad, 22 of 30 for 195 yards and a touchdown there last week. This is obviously a better matchup, but I don't think he has huge upside. But for salary relief, he's definitely viable. And same thing with Joe Flacco. I mean, you're not going to feel great about this play, but he's actually been decent this year. Like 3 out of 4 games have been basically 15 fantasy points. So at 4.7K, that seems a little underpriced for a starting quarterback. But yeah, that's basically it for quarterback. Running back, I'm really not confident with anyone under 5K. It's a lot of guys splitting work. Like the Denver guys with Lindsey and Royce Freeman. You got the New England three-headed monster. You got the Chicago guys splitting work. Washington's a mess. Tampa Bay's a three-headed monster. So there's really not anything I can recommend with confidence besides Jalen Samuels if James Conner's out. Currently, it's just questionable. So if he misses, then obviously Jalen Samuels will probably be the lock of the day for cash games and GPPs. If James Conner's playing, I don't think I want to go with Jalen Samuels. I'll fade and let others chase that. Now, he was a lot more involved there in that last game against Cincinnati, running like the Wildcat a few times. But if James Conner plays, I'm not going to look to Jalen Samuels. And then that's really it for running back. Like I said, I like spending up in running back this week. There's a lot of good spend-up options. So let's move on to wide receiver. So we got some injuries here for wide receivers. First, the big news, one of the big injuries is Davante Adams. They have him listed as questionable. I heard he was doubtful to play. So let's go to Green Bay really quick. With Davante out, that's obviously a big boost to MVS and Geronimo. And I'm not sure who the third receiver would be. Could be Darius Shepard. He picked up 15 snaps there with when Davante Adams got injured at the end of the game. So this would be something we would have to monitor. But yeah, definitely a big boost for MBS and Geronimo. If I'm picking between the two, I think I would lean towards Geronimo. I like the floor on him a little bit more, but both would definitely be viable with no Davante Adams. The Arizona injuries I'll get to in a sec here. Will Fuller's a guy that I've heard his name a lot this week. He really hasn't had a big game yet this year, but he does have the big play upside. He's just never someone I get to for DFS. It scares me with his injury history as well as just his boom or bust style. But for GPPs, you definitely could go there. I think, like I said, he does have some pretty big upside in a game that should be pretty high scoring. So if you're a Will Fuller guy, that you can definitely target him here at 4.5K. Again, he's just never someone I really get to. And then, okay, so let's talk about Arizona and Cincinnati, where I think there's the most value for wide receiver. So first, let's talk about Arizona. Christian Kirk and Bird, both, they have them listed as questionable. Both are unlikely to play. They're both expected to miss. So, and Arizona runs 4 wide receiver sets a lot, like 70-80% of the time. So this is pretty big for these value Arizona receivers. So it's going to be Keyshawn Johnson as well as Trent Sherfield. they're going to pick up a lot of the work. And then also they have Pharaoh Cooper, who's not even listed on here, who they said will probably get the number 4 work as number 4 wide receiver. But with Keyshawn and Sherfield being the 2 and 3, these guys are way too underpriced in a game that, again, there's 2 really bad teams, 2 really bad defenses. I think could sneakily turn into a shootout. I like this game a lot as part of a game stack. So both Keyshawn and Sherfield are way too cheap. I think if I'm picking between the two, I'm going to go with Keyshawn Johnson. I like the upside in him a bit more. So yeah, I really like him as a value play. And then on the same side, let's go to Arizona. So obviously there's still no AJ Green, and John Ross is now on the IR. So Auden Tate at 3.5K is way underpriced. A guy that's basically playing the whole game. I like his upside again. This game, I want a lot of pieces too. So he's just way too underpriced. And then it's either going to be Erickson or Willis that pick up the number 3 role for John Ross. I wouldn't mind if it's Erickson. Like he's a guy that probably play out of the slot a little bit. Kind of like a Cole Beasley type player. But yeah, so that's the situation you have to monitor if it's going to be Erickson or Willis. But Auden Tate at 3.5K, I think he's going to be one of the chalkier plays in the slate, but I do really like that price tag on him. And then, I want to see, was there any other receivers I wanted to talk about here? You could look to Kiki Cutie if Kenny Stills misses. Kenny Stills did practice, though, in limited fashion, so that leads me to believe that Kenny Stills might actually play. Oh, the Chargers, guys. So let's go to the Chargers real quick. Currently, if Mike Williams misses, they would be down to 3 healthy receivers on the roster with Keenan Allen, and then Jeremy Davis and Andre Patton here. Now, if Mike Williams plays, it'll probably be a situation I will avoid as far as the value plays go. Obviously, Keenan Allen's a great play no matter what. But I'm just talking value plays. If Mike Williams misses, then we could look to either Jeremy Davis or Andre Patton. Probably lean towards Andre Patton, but really like 3.1K and 3.2K for starting receivers. That's something you got to take advantage of. So again, situation you have to monitor. If Mike Williams plays, I'll probably stay away from the value receivers. If he misses, then we could look to Davis or Patton. And okay, as far as tight ends go, tight end's really tricky on the slate. I talked about this in my early look video. There's not a lot of like standout options for me at least. I mean, Austin Hooper's never really a guy I play, but he's looked really good this year with 9, 6, 7, 11 targets. So you've got to consider that in a game that should be pretty high scoring. Jimmy Graham's interesting at 4.3K. Didn't have a catch in week 2 or week 3, but with no Devontae Adams, that would be a boost to Jimmy Graham. So I would consider him for sure if Devontae Adams misses at 4.3K. Greg Olson's in a tough matchup, but he still plays like the whole game, so he's viable. O.J. Howard hasn't really flashed the upside yet this season, but we know he's got it in him in a game that should be pretty high scoring as well. So O.J. is definitely someone I'm considering 3.9K. I think he goes a little bit lower owned. And then as far as like really cheap guys, I'll bring up one really cheap guy for GPPs who I do think has some upside, and that's Noah Fant at 2.8K for Denver. 4, 4, 3, and 4 targets each of the first 4 games. The thing is I like about him is he's playing on the snaps are going up. He's playing like 75 to 80% of snaps. This is a game that Denver should be playing from behind in. Chargers defense not too scared of them, so I think 2.8K for Font is a little underpriced. I do like the upside on him, so I wouldn't mind taking a shot at Noah Font there. But that's basically it for value plays. Again, it's a lot of the receivers that I'm liking for this Week 5 main slate. So now let's talk about some game stacks I'm liking for GPPs. So we'll start with Arizona Cincinnati. I've talked about it a lot here in my early look video as well as a little bit in this video. I like this game a lot as part of a game stack. Now, both quarterbacks definitely viable. If I'm picking between the two, I'm going to lean towards Kyler Murray. I just like the rushing upside in him a bit more. It's just, can the Arizona offensive line give him a little bit of time so he can throw? And maybe they'll let Kyler Murray, let loose basically and throw long balls. They've really just been short passes. It's like a college offense, like I said, a hurry-up offense. But I think the Kyler Murray breakout game is coming soon. It could be this one against a really bad Cincinnati defense, who Pittsburgh just lit up there on Monday night. And then as far as the wide receivers go, so I wouldn't mind pairing. Obviously, the two safe options are Boyd and Fitzgerald, and I like them both a good amount. So you could definitely go with them and pair him with Kyler Murray as part of a game stack, or you could do two of the cheaper options in Auden Tate and Keyshawn Johnson, and then throw in a defense, and obviously you're probably going to have a cheap tight end, and from there you can almost get whoever else you want in your lineup. So I do like that build a lot for GPPs, just because you can basically fit in 3 stud running backs from there and a decent price wide receiver as well. So like I said, you could go with the cheap receivers. You could go with Fitzgerald or Boyd. Both those guys seem really cheap, but again, I like this game as part of a game stack. Probably my favorite game stack of the week. The only concern with this game is if Cincinnati gets off to an early lead, then I can see them just playing really slow and handing off to Joe Mixon every time and just going from there. If Arizona gets off to a big lead or an early lead, then I think this game could turn into a big shootout. And then the running backs too. Don't forget about the running backs here. David Johnson for GPPs, 100% at 7.5K. He's basically a wide receiver with 7, 9, and 11 targets. Again, Cincinnati just got lit up by running backs there with James Conner and Samuel. So David Johnson is someone we have to consider for sure. And same with Mixon. He was on pace for like 80% of the snaps there until the game got really out of hand when they brought in Gio for the last quarter. But if this game stays close, I could see a breakout game for Joe Mixon as well. So I like a lot of pieces in this game. Again, both running backs, almost all the receivers. I prefer Kyler Murray to Dalton, but Dalton's interesting because I think the ownership would be really low on him after a really bad Monday night game, but I think he's still in play. And then a game that I think is going to be pretty popular for a game stack for GPPs, it's Atlanta-Houston. As far as the quarterbacks go, both definitely viable. I think I would lean towards Deshaun Watson because I like the rushing upside on him. So I think a pretty popular stack here is going to be Deshaun at quarterback and then running it back with DeAndre and Julio. That lineup, like that right there, has so much upside. So that's definitely a build I'm considering for GPPs. As far as other receivers, Calvin Ridley's is never someone I really consider. Again, Will Fuller, I never personally play him, but I get it here at 4.5K. He does have big play upside. Could look to Kiki Cutie if there's no Kenny Stills. Sanu, I think, looks pretty safe with 6, 7, 6, and 12 targets. So I wouldn't mind him either. The running backs I'm a little bit less high on in this game, at least, with Freeman and like the combination of Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson. I would lean towards Duke Johnson, I guess. They haven't really unleashed him. He's looked pretty decent when given carries. He's just not getting enough work. But yeah, not too high on the backs. I mean, Freeman's looked decent, getting involved in the passing game too. They still have Ito Smith. So yeah, don't feel too great about the running back situation, but definitely the 2 spend-up wide receivers and Deshaun Watson. I think that's a pretty solid way to go. And Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Obviously, this is one of the higher over-unders of the slate as well. As far as the quarterbacks go, both are definitely in play. I think Jameis is going to be a lot more popular, but don't forget about Teddy Bridgewater. At 5.2K, I think he has a little bit of upside here. I think he goes really low owned too, so wouldn't cross Bridgewater out, but I think Jameis is definitely be the safer and more popular option at quarterback. And then definitely run it back with either like Mike Evans or Godwin. I think Godwin's going to be a little bit more popular, so I might lean towards Evans. And then Michael Thomas at 6.6K, he seems way too cheap. I think he's going to be pretty popular for cash as well as GPPs. But I think that's like going to be a pretty popular stack. And then obviously you could look to Kamara. I like the upside at him a good amount as well. So you can definitely run a game stack like that. As far as the Tampa Bay backs, I mean, Ronald Jones definitely looking like the best back, but they still give all 3 backs a decent amount of work, so wouldn't feel great about targeting him until he's getting more snaps. And then OJ too, again, for Tampa Bay, he's at 3.9K. I think a breakout game is coming from him as well. But yeah, so he's someone also I would consider as part of a game stack. And then, let's see, Minnesota, the Giants is kind of stay away. Same thing with Chicago and Oakland. The Jets and Philly is, we have to wait on Sam Darnold news. If Sam Darnold plays, then that's going to change the whole complexion of the slate, because then I would get on to a lot of the Jets guys. Like Jameson Crowder would probably be one of my favorite value plays if Darnold plays. Le'Veon would become a lot more viable as well at 6.8K. So again, I would consider that game if Sam Darnold plays. If Sam Darnold misses, it's just a stay away from me. Denver and the Chargers, don't feel great about this one, but it's still viable. Like either quarterback, again, Flacco seems pretty cheap. Philip Rivers is obviously more safe, but you could run it back with Keenan Allen and Emmanuel Sanders, and definitely wouldn't mind that. The running back situation, I'm going to stay away from for now. With Melvin Gordon coming back, they're going to limit him a bit. It's obviously a downgrade to Eckler, but with the Chargers being so thin at wide receiver, I could even see them lining up Austin Eckler at wide receiver a decent amount. So I guess I wouldn't completely cross off Eckler for because of that. But yeah, the Denver running backs is like an even split. Nothing to feel great about. And then again, Noah Fant I brought up for Denver. I do like him as a cheap option here at 2.8K. So you could definitely build a lineup like that. And then lastly, Green Bay and Dallas. Still don't have a great feel about this one, but I like the running backs a lot here. Green Bay just got destroyed by Philly there with Jordan Howard. Miles Sanders just had a field day on the Packers defense. Now we get Zeke, who played on basically 100% of the snaps last game. Again, in close games, Zeke's going to play basically the whole game at home. Really like Zeke here. And then Aaron Jones is looking like Jamal Williams is not going to play. So that would be a pretty big boost to Aaron Jones at 5.9K. I know he hasn't done much on the ground the last couple of games, but just the volume would be there. I wouldn't expect Dexter Williams, who would be probably the backup if there's no Jamal Williams, to get a lot of work. So I would like pairing both running backs in this game the most and then running it back with maybe like Geronimo Allison or MVS on the Green Bay side. And you could look to Amari Cooper. I think it's a little underpriced here at 6.8K. I do like the upside there. So that's definitely another game that I'm considering for GPPs as part of a game stack. But I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I will be live streaming before the Thursday night showdown slate between the Seahawks and the Rams about 30 minutes before lock here on my YouTube channel, so be on the lookout for that. Basically answering any questions you guys have and going over any injury news we get. And then be sure to follow me on Twitter. It will be in the description below. I get my thoughts as we get injury news, some NBA stuff as well. I already tweeted a couple things about NBA preseason slate for Friday and Saturday. Again, I have that video up on my channel, so you guys can go check that out if you want. And yeah, that's basically it. So thank you guys again for coming to check out the videos. I do really appreciate it. And I will see you guys for the live stream for my Thursday night football tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then.